This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Oh my god, it's got a sausage dog in it! It's the best!
Sausage
True.
dog.
Sausages do make everything better.
Sausages do
German
make
accent from
absolutely
memory.
everything better.
There he is.
Yeah. And you know what else makes
There
everything
he is.
better? Everything is better when we're playing video games. Welcome to Party Loaded. This is episode 102 for, what date is it? God damn it. 8th of November on Wednesday night. Just like one day after the N7 thing. I got a question for all of you, but mostly Jam. Jam, do you remember a time when N7 Day was a day of celebration and not commiseration?
Aww, that is sad.
That's so harsh.
Yeah, I know. It's,
I mean,
it's kind of true, though.
I'm watching a gif of a sausage dog cartoon getting his back massaged by a cake mixer right now. My life is complete.
A cake mixer.
Well, no, it's not. You have to watch the actual movie. That's the deal, right?
It's true.
Secret Life of Pets is where it's at.
Sidebar, did you guys hear this week that apparently Japan is making a cake-flavoured Pepsi? I mean, what the hell? It's a Christmas thing. I don't know how that relates to Christmas exactly, but apparently it's
Christmas
happening.
cake.
I'm just going to put this down to hashtag Japan.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? If anyone says, there's weird things happening, it's in Japan, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, no one's surprised when weird stuff happens in Japan.
No.
Nope.
No, the cake-flavoured Pepsi vending machine is probably right next to the used women's panties vending machine.
Nope. Oh, I knew you were going to go there.
The moment you started that sentence, everyone was like, please don't.
Everybody knows
Yeah.
it's a thing. Everyone knows it's a thing. Anyway, so video games and stuff. We've been playing a bunch of them as per usual. But stuff kind of loosely relating to video games. Let's start with that tonight because you all did some Halloween shenanigans when I was not available. So what's going on?
Ollie ran us through a really cool RPG system called the Dread system, which is effectively just like Dungeons and Dragons, but instead of rolling dice, you draw things out of a Jenga tower, and it's genuinely terrifying.
It was
And there
great.
was one moment during the game where we thought that Ollie maybe had just created an RPG to help us move things around his house for him. It was like, move these boxes from this room to this room. Go. We were running around. And I think the comment was made as like, I'm sure the ghost next time will be like, weed the garden.
That's true.
Dust the shells.
Jam gets up and heads out to the garden. Oh, that's hilarious.
Nah, mate, not in real life.
So hang on, I'm a
Ollie
little
could probably
unclear here.
explain it a bit better.
Were you actually moving like individual little blocks from a Jenga tower, or were you moving physical
Yeah.
objects around the house? I'm unclear.
So it's two parts. So the Jenga tower is the main contraption and mechanic for succeeding or failing.
Okay.
Some of the blocks had words written on a side so that when we drew them, we had to check them to see if something dangerous happened and we had to draw again. And basically, if we had knocked it over on our turn or been the last to touch it when it tipped over, our characters were dead.
Oh, okay. It's interesting.
It was bad news.
The final
bears.
doom.
And Jamie says that we draw things from the tower and like some of them could say things on them, but we only drew one thing with something written on it the entire game.
Okay.
The entire game.
And we managed to get through it without tumbling the tower. It got tall.
That was the
very
most impressive
tense.
part. No one died. That was
I know,
super
my hands
incredibly
were
impressive.
so steady. I couldn't believe it.
Imogens
And then
were not.
No, oh my god. My hands aren't steady just regularly. I'm like a leaf in the wind. That was a weird analogy. I don't know where that came from.
Firefly.
I think
when we
that's
took
accurate.
when we took a break for dinner, we all just kind of like stood up and then slowly backed away while still facing the tower, like so as not to knock it. No one wanted to be the person who killed somebody else. That was all it was at. Like it was like feet away from the table. Everyone was like walking around the table really carefully.
But
And
we
to set
even
the
had-
scene, like Ollie like made the room super bloody cold, so cold in that room because we were in Colorado.
And dark.
And dark. So that was super fun. And yeah, there was our annual Halloween game. Well, This is only the second time that we've ever done it, but it was pretty cool.
Two times is a tradition. I think that's a good start to that.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And it was
Yes.
kind of a nice wrap up to PAX and everything else, and like a good way to sort of catch up and play some fun stuff. I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
super enjoyed it. And the reason why we talk about it is because it was loosely based on Until Dawn. Is that correct,
Not
Ollie?
even loosely, very closely based.
Very
But we
close.
With modifications.
survived.
So Ollie was banking on the
Yay.
fact that he had played it and none of us had. Is that kind of where that was at?
Correct.
Yeah.
I have it
Pretty much.
installed, but I have not yet played.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Now I know. Now I know.
I really wanted to squeeze
But
it
yeah,
in
it was
prior
awesome.
to Halloween, but just with everything else going on, there was no way in hell
Yeah.
we were going to fit it in. So, yeah.
Nope.
Never mind. But no, that sounds cool. That sounds fun. I still want to play that game at some point. It was,
It's a good game.
yeah, and it was free, so that makes it even better. Hey, absolutely. Well, other games and stuff. What else has been going on? I don't know about you guys, but I've actually been feeling the con crash a lot worse this week than last week. Because last week was kind of like, get back here, there's all this stuff to do. And then now it's like, still would rather be back at PAX. But, oh well.
No, I went back to work this week, so it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a genuine
I missed my
excuse.
time off.
Yep, back to the factory. Yeah. Memo, Jam, you guys played some games that I didn't sort of take part in on the weekend. What was up there?
Wow.
Damn, you do the first one.
The first one was that I got a message from Mimo, and it was sort of like a Sky Factory message.
It's a
And I
standard
went-
Saturday morning message, which is, I've been watching Achievement Hunter videos. Want to play this game? Question
that
mark.
they played.
Yeah.
So we jumped on in the afternoon, but realized that the server Mark had set up was offline, and he was like AFK, out of commission, could not be contacted, busy. So we were sulking a bit. Then another friend managed to set one up temporarily for us. So we jumped in from scratch again on a slightly updated version and discovered there are wooden shears now. So suddenly we were making dirt in record time. It was great. It was so great.
The Sky
think we had
Factory is a collection
people.
of mods for Minecraft, which basically means that you start the world with one tree on one dirt block and you have to create everything else. And it can get as complicated as nuclear fission and blood magic and all this other stuff. And it's one of those games that, you know, we were playing with our friend Wuto, who set up the server, and he's like, right, so why are we making the dirt? Like, how do I get cobblestone? I'm like, well, you got to do this to get that, and then you do this, and then that gets you the cobblestone. And he'd be like, all right, cool. How do we make lava? I'm like, well, you got to make the cobblestone first. He's like, and how do I do that again? We got to get the dirt, so we got to sieve it through here. We got to turn it into gravel. Then we got to get the stones from that, squish the stones together. And it was just, he was like,
was the best.
okay. Like every 5 seconds, I felt like I re-explained how cobblestone was made.
Yeah, it is an exercise in project management. It truly
Yeah,
is.
when a mummy and daddy Pebble love each other very much,
Oh, God.
4 of them get together and they make a cobblestone.
So by the end of our session, after a few hours, we managed to have the manual cobble generator with the lava and water source blocks going. And that's when we logged off.
Yeah.
Because it was late. But I reckon he's probably been in there, like, playing still. We should look back in and see what's been going on.
Peeking
It'd be
through the
interesting
window.
to see.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. And while I was waiting for that to be set up, because that seemed to be taking more time than I had patience for, I picked up a game, and it was some time ago, and I don't think I've talked about the podcast. I've talked about the potential of playing it, but I have been playing Dream Daddy, and Dream
Yay.
Daddy is great.
Is the most Imogen
And-
game of Imogen games that could ever be Imogened. That's what
I mean,
think.
it would be better if they were animals, let's put it. I am surprised I'm not a furry. I'm not, just for the record. But yeah, there you go. Dream Daddy is a dating sim based off single dads, and it's a narrative game. There's not a lot of challenge to it. There's some mini games and those types of things, but it's in the style. It's made by Game Grumps. It is effectively a game made for Twitch or for streaming. It very much is, you know, you create your own dad or daddy, and in this case I have created the stuff of nightmares. If you picture the least favorite person you'd want to see down a dark alley, give them purple hair and a beer gut, you're nailing it. That's it. That's where it's at.
Why would you create
It's pretty
such a thing?
revolting.
Because I was making him and I was like, everyone always makes like the suave daddy or like makes like who their dreamed like daddy would be, and I was like, I am going to see if I can make the most terrifying human being known to humankind.
You
and
succeeded.
I think I succeeded.
Yeah.
It's the porn star moustache, the constant shocked look, the purple haired man bun, and the Hawaiian shirt and purple blazer. I think really brings out his terrifying eyes.
What's his
Yeah,
name?
his
we need a
eyes is
name.
where it's at.
We need a
The
name
thing-
for this guy.
Oh no, what was his name, Jam? He had a name.
Did he?
I forgot his name.
I did not
gave him
see
a
a
name.
because I was
Jam,
just
can you
grimacing.
search back Dream Daddy in the chat and find out the name? That would be great. I forgot his name. I
Okay.
did give him a brilliant name. But the thing that I didn't count on is that whenever he talks, he pops up on the left side of the screen. And we have also talked about how I have this beautiful 32-inch monitor, and that is much more terrifying than I was expecting. So I played a little bit before PAX and got an idea of the game and sort of introduced some dads. And a lot of the game's
his
actually
name
really...
is Buck. Sorry to intrude.
Yeah, his name's Buck Wild.
Is he there to do a certain thing?
That's right. I named him Buck Wild.
With a physique
man.
like that, better buck wild than buck naked. It sounds like it could be way
It's actually quite a sweet story about a single dad, and you get to at the very beginning of the game sort of decide whether it was like a 2-dad family or a mum and dad family and those types of things. You get to sort of at the very, like, you're choosing from pictures and you get to choose which is your narrative. In my narrative, it was a 2-dad family. And I don't know yet what happened to the other dad, but you're in basically a cul-de-sac, and there's like a high proportion of single dads in this cul-de-sac. One very weird family, and one broody guy who lives by himself. And the achievements for this game are great. So I'm going to see if I can't get all of the achievements. So far, the only achievement that I've managed to get was Bad Dad. Is because I was a dirty stop out and stayed overnight at somebody's house and had no care for my daughter, who I left at home alone.
That's bad.
You tramp.
Not good. And it did work out well for me, guys. When I woke up in the morning, the only conversation that I had with this particular daddy was, so there's the door. See you later. Yeah, man, ouch. Made bad decisions, man. And then I had to see him at a barbecue like 2 days later, apparently. So super fun.
So you turned around and said to you, the buck stops here. Is that how that went down?
Hey, there he is. Luke back on board, folks. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of fun. I enjoy playing it. And Jam managed to like watch parts of my game. The game is actually incredibly hilarious. Like
The dialogue's great.
the dialogue is really great, and quite funny. And the different sort of dad types are very, very well done. I can see why everyone enjoys playing it. And I mean, it's half joke, half quite clever, quite funny game. There was a scene, Luke, that I just played through. Jam stopped watching me, and I'm like, Jam, you logged off at the wrong time, because all of the dads in the cul-de-sac are at one party, and it's just an entire 2 minutes of dad jokes, just one after the other, about like barbecue-related dad jokes. I'm like, oh my god, I'm playing Dream Daddy, and they're doing dad jokes. This is my worlds have collided. This is the best.
So this
it was
I'm not a fan of dating sim games. You know this. This is established fact. But a game like this, I could actually play if we did it as a group. I think that'd be a hilarious time.
I mean,
Create our
we
own
get
daddy.
Luke to play it for this, and then we get Mima to play a horror game as a group. This is fantastic.
No, I feel like I got the raw end of that deal.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
To that. Seriously,
bit.
we played that RPG, and there was one point that Ollie like went into the other room and started telling the story, like facing the other way, and he was like putting something on. I'm like, if he turns around with a mask on, I'm gonna legit scream. And he came around with this terrifying glove on and came really close to me, and I don't think I could have got any smaller in my physical capacity on the couch. I was all the way down. I did not want any part of it. And everyone's like, oh, you should have totally like grabbed Mimo on the shoulders. But Ollie
that
quite
would have been a
rightly guessed
mistake.
that would have been a mistake.
Wow. And
Bones would have been
the halftime
broken,
break
and I
from
don't
the
know
game,
if it would have been mine. Yeah, my years of self-defense classes might have kicked in, Ollie.
and the challenging bit is there was like a decibel measuring thing going on. We were trying not to react to everything he was saying and doing with his creepy clawed hand like touching our shoulder. Otherwise, we would have failed and had to draw from the tower. It was, so she's trying to be dead quiet.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Anyway, that was great. So, yeah, Sky Factory, Dream Daddy, and Dread. Great combo in the last week.
What a weekend.
What a weekend, man. What a weekend. What a wild ride.
Oh, no. Well, speaking of wild rides, I kicked off a new one last night because the expansion for Horizon Zero Dawn launched. So the Frozen Wilds is now out in the wild. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm so glad you just stabbed that segue into the ground that I gave you.
Kick it while it's down.
It's cool.
Right for us.
It is cool. Like I didn't quite know what to expect going into this one, but there was one thing that surprised me from the outset, and this is maybe.
No spoilers.
No, I'm going to steer directly away from spoilers.
Should I just disconnect right now?
No, I don't think it'll be hard to avoid
spoilers.
One thing I will say is that, and this is actually something you probably will want to know, actually, Jam. It surprised me that the Frozen Wild doesn't sort of bolt on to the end of the Horizon Zero Dawn story from the perspective of playing through the game.
I don't want to know that.
Well, you do want to know that. The reason being is because you may otherwise decide to wait to play it. But what I'm going to suggest to you is you should probably download the Frozen Wilds and actually play it before you finish the game. Because it will actually lead up to, like, narratively, it is completely separate from the rest of the game. So, but it's just that the reason why I suggest this is because I went in to play it and I realized that when I finished the game, it actually, my last save, because it doesn't actually give you an option to save after you finish, it forces you to go back to your last save before the final sort of encounter in the game, which is kind of weird. Like, I would have preferred if it was like...
Don't elaborate.
No, I'm just going to compare it to, like, The Witcher. Like, Ollie, correct me if I'm wrong here, but, like, with The Witcher 3, the DLC content for that with the additional adventures, that all takes place after the main game story arc, doesn't it? Like, you finish, you save, and then you kick off on a new adventure. Yeah. I thought it would be like that. But it's not. And that was a little jarring in a way because you kind of feel like, particularly if you go to this sort of side adventure just prior to the final encounter in the game, which is like where you've done your final save, you're kind of like, okay, cool. Everything that is really important is hanging in the balance, and then I'm off to do this massive side adventure. It just feels a bit weird. So, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it makes sense. I think they know full well that a lot of people playing the DLC are either playing the game from the get-go, so they might even come across it before then. Or if we have played the game, I like that that's the case.
Yeah,
I like it. Do I get to keep my stuff though, or do I have to like go back to pre-stuff?
No. It's based on your game save at that point. So you could actually load it up and actually play towards this area as you're going through the story from scratch. Like if you started a new game plus, for instance.
Yeah, cool.
And went through that way. The only thing, though, is that this area is quite tough, and I probably wouldn't attempt it until you're at least like level 30 or so. So you could do it at any point throughout the main adventure, but you probably don't want to get your ass handed to you by going up there too early, if that makes sense. So
yeah, them lightning birds, not a big fan of those.
Yeah, there's some stuff up there for sure.
That's not what they're called, team. Just FYI.
The Glenhawks or the Storm
Thunderhawk? Something
like that.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Something to do with storms and thunder.
Even though it was super weird going back to this game after having played it like last time in March, I think was the last time I picked it up. It was, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's been a while, like trying to remember how everything worked, and, obviously the combat's quite detailed, and sort of getting your head around that again was a little challenging, but yeah, it was tough. But the thing that sort of helped quite a bit is, actually making the journey up to that area. You kind of, you do get a chance to have some encounters of a familial kind, so you get back into the swing again. But the game sort of additions are mostly sort of area and narrative based, but it actually does add some additional skills to the skill options as well. So you can actually go towards a different skill tree that actually makes things a lot easier when you're mounted, which is very, very cool. So you can get some skills that allow you to pick up stuff off the ground without dismounting, which I thought was excellent because it's freaking annoying having to do that all the time normally. And some other bits and pieces. So, yeah, it was cool. The scenery's great.
I genuinely did not ride around a lot in the first game.
I didn't for most areas either.
Not to the point where I wasn't picking up stuff, because I found that if I was on my mount, that, I wasn't picking up stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you might a bit more in this area, but I think the main reason why you didn't in the main game is just because it's so easy to teleport around. Like you just fast travel to the different campsites once you've got the right resources, and it's really not that hard to sort of circumvent all of that stuff. So yeah. But no, it's cool. Lots of, I say lots. There's a few different beasties to sort of get your head around and sort of learn how to fight. The new characters are really cool. Ashley Birch's Aloy is, as good as ever. Still, that sassy charm, still really, really good. But I think I've heard that all up the time that you'll spend in this sort of expanded area is probably around the 10 to 15 hour mark, which I think is pretty good for a DLC. So
that's sizable, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I'm probably just 3 or 4 hours in at the moment. I haven't done a whole bunch, so I'm sure there's some big stuff yet to come. There's a little bit of cinematic stuff, not a huge amount yet, but there might be more to come. So yeah, opening impression so far is pretty damn good. So, but yeah, I kind of wanted to mention that first bit, especially for you, Jam, because you may want to sort of factor it into your completing the game journey as opposed to considering it a separate thing altogether. So
I think that would be dangerous. I want to finish the storyline that I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels important to me.
And do that? Yeah, no, fair enough. Cool. Yeah. All right, well, Frozen Wilds aside, we've had some stuff happening this week. So with the gaming news of the week, let's just kick off with something that broke over the last 24 hours, which is a bit of a downer, but probably worth talking about anyway. So Telltale games, makers of a whole bunch of different narrative games, so The Walking Dead, the Tales from the Borderlands, Minecraft Story Mode, all these things you probably heard us talk about at different times on the show if you've been listening for a while. Seems that the old Telltale's hitting some troubled waters, and they have just laid off about a quarter of their staff. So I did some looking into this, and Telltale as a studio is about just under 400 people strong. So that's a decent number of people. But I don't know. I'm not entirely surprised by it. What did you guys take away from that?
I think it's one of those things that narrative games, I talked to you guys a little about it today, is that narrative games are becoming a lot bigger, especially with the release of and the popularity of people playing on like things like iPads and tablets and those types of things. So I think it was going to happen eventually. I think Telltale they're a big company, and they've done okay, but they've had some big sort of stuff ups as well. And with the market sort of being flooded with other narrative games, I'm not really surprised that they have to take this move. And 25% is a lot, though. That's a lot of people, and it's in a line of other studios having to make some big layoffs as well. There's a lot of efficiencies having to be found in some of the bigger teams. As we reach 2017, the year of all games ever being released.
Yeah.
Because I think that now more than ever, games is being recognized as a major industry, which just means more people are vying for the market. So it's sad.
For a studio that kind of specializes in this kind of game and this kind of storytelling, I think that there's a bunch of other studios in recent times that have had a lot less success in that area that have shown that they can probably do it better. Like, the Life is Strange sort of prequel is a good example. I mean, that got picked up by a different studio than what did the original Life is Strange. I think the original one was Don't Nod, and the prequel's a different studio altogether. But like already, that game is way better than a Telltale game mechanically, and narrative-wise, it's just as good, if not better. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think I get the impression they spent a lot of their resources chasing after big IP and landing the DC and the Marvel deals, and maybe should have focused a bit more on fixing some of the fundamentals. So yeah, they haven't had a massive hit for what feels like a couple of years. I think the last big hit they probably had was Tales from the Borderlands. Maybe, I don't know. They started out strong.
Minecraft Story Mode, maybe.
Well, Story Mode did pretty well, I think, and obviously it had the huge Minecraft, fan base to sort of, buoy it up somewhat, and must have done okay for them to do a season 2, which they're just wrapping up at the moment. But I don't know. I mean, on the slate right now, I know that they have got plans to release a final season of The Walking Dead. They are doing a second season of The Wolf Among Us. And they've literally just wrapped on Minecraft Story Mode, and they have just wrapped on Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think that's... Oh, and they're still just finishing up the second season of their Batman game. So they've come from a year where they had probably about 4 things on the go at once, and now they've only got maybe 2 things coming up. So, Yeah, yeah.
That is a huge list of what you've
Yeah.
just described.
It
like,
is.
holy shit.
Yeah.
It's some big IP. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of money went into securing those IPs. And I have a feeling they didn't quite recoup that.
No, it's a shame. Like I generally enjoy Telltale games, but and while I'm sad about the staff layoffs because that's never good in terms of the impact to people in the industry, I kind of think this is probably the thing that had to happen, and it's going to be good for them ultimately. Because if they can scale back and focus on getting their shit right, and releasing quality over quantity, that's going to be better for everybody concerned.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think. Yeah.
Good for the company, utterly shite for the individuals.
Yeah. And it is that time of year. It seems like we've had a few of these stories recently. We had the, the Star Wars layoffs recently with, Amy Hennig's game sort of not, coming to anything in the end. And this, and, I think there's been a couple of other smaller ones that have been announced recently. Just before the holiday period seems like a shit time for this kind of thing. But, yeah, it's always going to happen. Anyway, let's move on to some happier things. We have a whole bunch of BlizzCon to talk about. So...
Hooray!
Mimo,
Prepare
kick it
for the
off.
Hearthstone.
What did BlizzCon mean to you this year?
So BlizzCon meant so many things. So you talked about like having the post-PAX blues, and I think BlizzCon pulled me right out of it because what BlizzCon delivered was huge. Like it just seemed like the news kept coming out, and some of the biggest stuff for me was WoW related. Shocker. Number one, we got an absolutely jaw-droppingly beautiful launch trailer for Battle of Azeroth, the new expansion.
Pretty neat.
It's so cool, and I would be lying if I said I didn't rewatch it, and when Sylvana says for the Horde, I answered. That is one of the coolest moments in a World of Warcraft related trailer I've ever seen. I'm not digging 100% the newer look Sylvanas and some of the newer look that they're going with some of their characters, but it was pretty cool. I mean, they wasted a whole bunch of time on the stupid Anduin stuff. He's boring. But
he looks so young in that clip as well. Like, I mean, I've seen his portrait, when you play as Priest in Hearthstone, because you can kind of see his facial features there. But in that cinematic, man, he looked like a kid. Like, it was super weird. I don't know.
Yeah, they're making them quite a bit more cartoony and less sort of grungy is the feeling that I'm getting from it. But it was cool. I mean... even people who don't play the game and aren't interested, that was a cool battle scene, and people understand what For the Horde meant. Yeah. And Holly was like, "Yeah, that was sick." So I knew something was going right.
I've got a quick question for you just before we move on. So Sylvanas, I know you're not necessarily the aficionado of all things Warcraft lore, but you might know this one. Has she ever done that sort of Banshee Wraith-like transformation before in anything? Is that something she's been known for?
Not in cinematics.
Okay.
But that is what she's known for. Have you ever played her in Heroes of the Storm?
I have, but I don't remember doing that.
No.
I guess.
So the loose sort of background is that basically she brought back to life and being bestowed with these powers, which makes her now a dark elf. So that one of those sending forth the banshees is, she's the banshee queen. So she I guess it's never been visualized. I've certainly never seen it in a cutscene or anything like that. But that was a really cool way to sort of make it super clear that she is just far and beyond much more powerful than most in that world, and as is Anduin, as the sort of trailer suggests.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Not a whole bunch of details, but you can be pretty certain that it'll come out probably mid next year.
I did read a few details today that you might find interesting. So just hot off the press. Remember that thing they did with the last expansion where all of the zones in the expanded area scaled to your level? Do you remember that?
I wasn't going to mention that. That's too much detail. We've got too much to talk about.
I just thought this one thing might be interesting to people because they're going to do that across all of all of WoW. So, all of the other zones that have been in the world up until now are going to scale to people's levels. So that actually gives you a good opportunity to go back and play stuff from before and makes a bit more sense.
Not all, but most, yes. There will still be some areas that will be level locked or have suggested levels in them. But yes, it means that you can play the story in any order.
Yeah.
And so you can go and do Pandaria even if you like. If you just want to go play in Pandaria as a level 5 to 15 or whatever, go nuts. Enjoy. They've also made lots of changes to PvP, and they're sort of recognizing that sort of side of WoW is potentially going away, and the people that are playing now are there for the raids and they're there for the end game content. So, yeah, so that's really cool. In a nod to all of the news we brought you earlier in the year in regards to the shutdown of some of the WoW vanilla servers.
Nostalrius?
Blizzard have announced that they will be running their own WoW Classic servers. And the internet went wild. What this means is that you too can play vanilla WoW with none of the expansions. There has been very limited details about what that will mean. They just said that they heard the community, they will be running it, they understand that there's a need and a want to play sort of original WoW, and that will there's a lot of theories at the moment about what that will mean, because original WoW did not hold your hand. Original WoW was tough, and original WoW was a lot of like having to ask people for teleports and all sorts of stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. But yeah, no announcement as to when. But that was really cool to have two really big announcements for WoW.
I'm really curious if at some point they actually do like maybe the first expansion or two on that, because a lot of people sort of say that Burning Crusade time was one of the peaks of the game, or Lich King. So I don't know. Gives them the opportunity to maybe slowly add some stuff to that over time, but still be like a look back at WoW.
Well, this would be pre-Burning. This would be pre-Crusade. So
yeah.
We'll see. And I think, I don't know, it's one of those things that everyone assumes WoW's dead until they announce the next expansion. Then it's like, oh my gosh, WoW. Yeah. I mean, if Blizzard can live up to that cinematic trailer, I am 400% down for trying this again. In fact, I clicked on a link to look up for more information just today, and it said, would you like to sign up for the beta? And I hovered over that yes please button for a little bit too long.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense too, like with the last sort of thing being so galaxy spanning conflict, that they're bringing it right back down to the roots of World of Warcraft again, which is Alliance versus Horde. I think going back to that is probably a really, really good move. Keep things nice and simple. Nice. So we had a little bit of StarCraft news. StarCraft 2 is apparently going free to play, which is super cool for anyone who hasn't played through the campaign yet, which I know is probably all three of you. Am I right?
Check.
Yeah. So that's
StarCraft
definitely...
2. No, I've played StarCraft 2.
Have you? You gone through the campaign? Yeah, cool.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good campaign. I would highly recommend it. Overwatch. What's going on with Overwatch?
So many things are going on with Overwatch. So... let's go with the new map. So there's a Blizzard World map coming out. They previewed it. It looks kind of cool. I'm a fan. I'm not sure what sort of map it is at the moment because I haven't paid too much attention to it, because I only caught it in like the here's all the new hero stuff coming out. Well, has there been a official video just for the map, Jan?
I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
It's true. We are remarkably uninformed for the people that are meant to be informing you. So... It looks very Disneylandish, which is quite cool, but with the distinct Overwatch Blizzard art style. All the new heroes, or not all the new heroes, all the heroes are getting new skins. They previewed a bunch in a video which had that Blizzard World thing in it. And really excitingly, we're getting another new character. So, Moira?
Yeah.
Moira?
Yeah.
I don't know. Moira? Yeah, well, let's go with that. Got previewed. She's like a geneticist that's working with Talon, the evil spoopy guys with the Reaper and Widowmaker and all that, and Sombra, who looks like a evil version of Zenyatta as far as like abilities go and stuff like that. So
yeah, she's a mad scientist, David Bowie.
Yeah,
kick-ass.
That's a very good description, actually.
She's got like a healing beamy blobby thing, or a damage beamy blobby thing, depending on which thing you use.
We're coming at you with all the facts here, ladies and gentlemen.
It looks cool. I can't wait to try her out.
Stuff and things.
But more importantly, and something I actually paid a lot of attention to, was the Reinhardt cinematic.
Oh, yeah.
So it was basically just explaining why there was a guy on the throne in the Eichenwald map. And it is real. Also how Reinhardt got his scar on his face. And once again, Blizzard hitting you in the fields. Yep. Not the fields.
Yep.
The fields.
So many fields.
And yeah, just showing a amazing battle between the German forces with their Crusaders versus the Omnics with all their bastions and whatnot and ORs. And it was really, really cool. I was such a fan. And you got to see a Crusader. And for those that are completely oblivious, if you know who Reinhardt is, he is a Crusader. So a big giant guy in armor. There was a Crusader granddaddy sort of guy charging and just murder-stomping Omnics with 2 rocket hammers. Because who needs a shield, right? Just 2 rocket hammers. Going
It was
nuts.
epic.
Yeah, I think
was
the best
nuts.
response I saw was if the new trailer for the cinematic for Reinhardt isn't a lesson in overreach for Overwatch players, I don't know what is.
Yeah, basically.
That is very true. Wow.
The lesson of stick with your team at all costs.
Yeah.
Stay behind the rectangle.
I'm really glad they went back to these style cinematics after the Doomfist one was done in that different kind of comic art style. Like, I enjoyed that, but I prefer these, I think, for sure.
Yeah, these definitely feel a lot more polish and a lot more effort goes into them. So I thoroughly liked it. It was really cool. And the best part is young Reinhardt looks amazing. And as he mentions many times on various maps about a poster where his hair looks amazing, his hair does look fabulous. And more importantly, that's one of the new skins coming out, is fabulously haired young Reinhardt. So
Yay.
that'll be really cool. I'm really looking forward to that, actually.
Given that the skin for the other guy who he was fighting with in that cinematic is already out as well, you could kind of recreate that in a way, I guess, if you wanted to, on Iconwald.
I would love Blizzard. Just give me a Battle for Iconwald mode. That would be great.
Maybe
Make for Oktoberfest, and everyone will be happy.
That's an awesome idea for Oktoberfest. Germany, that's a great link.
Hire me now, Blizzard.
Yeah,
Hire me now.
That's awesome.
I
They
mean-
should totally do that. Yeah. Well, I guess they won't do the I mean, what was the one with all the Omnics last time? It was the 10th anniversary.
Uprising?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, something like that.
That was a celebration event for 10 years of anniversary or something. I can't remember what it was. Obviously, it wasn't Overwatch. But yeah, obviously, because they won't do that same one again, it's to celebrate the anniversary unless they reskin it or something, I guess. They could do that instead. That'd be cool. I don't know. More PvE content. I'm all down with that.
Yeah. More PvE content for Overwatch, I would be a fan of.
Well,
I am a big fan of that.
speaking of PvE content, hot into the Hearthstone news for the event. Memo, you might be interested in this because there is actually a new PvE mode being added to Hearthstone, which smacks to me as one that is really, really great for people who don't care too much about their card collections. Because this is one that sort of provides you everything you need. So there's going to be a new mode added to the game called the Dungeon Run, which is basically like a roguelike sort of versus bosses gauntlet style mode where you basically build your deck after each round and try and build a deck that will beat a run of 8 different bosses. And the bosses for each run are actually selected randomly from a pool of 48. So that's a lot of stuff. And it sounds really, really cool. But it gets progressively harder. And apparently, when you get through to the last few, it gets absolutely balls deep hard. So, yeah, could be interesting.
That was just the most disgusting description that you could have come up with.
I mean, that I have to agree with Imogen on that. That did not work at all.
Well,
That was bad.
it's very, very difficult. We'll just go with that.
Delete
Got to
it.
that stage in the cycle team where Luke just needs sleep. That's where we're at.
Anyway, the whole dungeon theme is kind of what the Hearthstone stuff centered around this year, because the new expansion that has been announced, it is Kobolds and Catacombs, and it's basically seeking to recreate all of the theme and imagery of the classic sort of, RPG dungeon sort of bashing modes. So, yeah. And people thought it was actually going to be a pirate-themed expansion because they leaked a few images of like a treasure map and chests of gold, but nope, exploring dungeons makes total sense. So everybody just got a free card in their accounts as of today. I just got mine. It's his name is Marin the Fox, I think, and he's kind of like a preview card that belongs to the new expansion, but everyone's getting it early. But the expansion proper is due to launch in December sometime, and I would guess it's probably going to be the first week or so of December if they keep on the same trajectory they've had in the past. So that's Hearthstone. A little bit of Heroes of the Storm news. Nothing massive. They're adding Hanzo and Alexstrasza. So it's like a dragon-themed expansion, and there's a big update coming in 2018, which is going to add some stuff to the game. So if you're interested in Heroes of the Storm, you should look that up. But yeah, that's a whole bunch of BlizzCon. I think the theme of this year's BlizzCon seemed to be nostalgia, like a lot of callbacks to stuff. So yeah,
Well, that's what the
Maybe it
market
works for
is.
Stranger Things.
yeah, true. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we should kick on with tonight's main topic, which is a continuation of what we kicked open last week, which is a rundown of the highlights of PAX Aus 2017. So, who wants to kick off tonight with the extra bits that we didn't get to last week?
Well, I will kick off. Just very quick mention. I guess we're starting off with the PAX Rising ones, and so we saved some from last week. My first one is that this year it was my second showing of Adventure Pals from Massive Monster. And we played this last year. It was a showcase winner for the PAX Rising, which was really cool, about a little boy whose grandfather gets turned into a hot dog and you have to rescue him with the aid of a giraffe in your backpack, and you have a pet rock. So listeners to the show will understand that immediately I knew I had to own this game. It's really good. And so Jam and I played the updated release of it. It was local co-op, which was really, really, really cool. So we both got to be there with giraffes in our backpacks, like zooming around, which was kind of neato.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and so I've purchased that. It's releasing beginning of next year. And I already pre-own a copy. So when it comes out, I'll be ready to play. And you could betcha it's going to be coming up on our sort of monthly gaming to plays. It was super fun. It's really, really cool. You should definitely check it out. Yeah, if you're a fan of platform games, it's got a lot of good humor in it. And, you know, it's made in Sydney. It's made here in Australia, so check it out.
Another one we stopped by that I really, really, really enjoyed was the Giant Margarita booth, where they had Party Golf and Party Crashers ready to play. I had not seen these games before, and I was just bewitched.
It was
they
so
are so
good.
much fun. Yeah. So Party Golf is out. It exists. It's like a 2D golfing thing. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to describe it. How would you describe it?
A
highly
side-scrolling,
customizable.
physics-based golf game.
Yeah.
Flappy golf.
Flappy golf.
It's like
for those that know that.
little 2D games where you have to land the Moonlander, only you're hitting a golf ball, which may be a banana, with crazy
Maybe a
physics
banana.
rules that can get introduced, and mines, and it's just the bizarrest. And you're
How
trying
many,
to
how many
basically...
did they say that you could add? There was like hundreds,
I
wasn't
think Party Golf has over 300, I'm
300.
pretty sure they said.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun, but they were showcasing their new game, Party Crashes, which has just come out into early access. And that's like a last car standing racing game with power-ups and crazy shenanigans going on. And at the moment, they said in that game, they've got about 67 different variations that you can introduce by turning your cars into like ridiculous things and changing all of the little rules. We hardly touched on the customization, but these two games seem to excel at party-based, highly customizable, competitive gameplay. And I can see our group playing the shit out of these in the future.
Yes.
The colours are cool. It's sort of Tron-like neon craziness, and it's just nutso. And the cool thing was the guys who were running us through, they would just, at the end of a round, grab the controller off and say, hey, let's try this. Very quickly jump into a single menu where they could tweak all the different settings, and suddenly the game we were playing was stupid crazy.
I really like the
had
one
a
that was
crowd
like
around
the
it too.
sumo mode. I like the sumo mode where you had like the one disc and all of us had to like be the last one standing like before booting each other off the edge.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That
I
was
sucked
fun.
so much dick at that mode.
So question for each of you,
That was
because if we
terrible.
approach Giant Margarita and say, hey, you know, you've done this once, can you do it again? What do you think a party loaded mode would look like in Party Crashes?
Oh my
Chaos.
gosh. Everyone beat on Luke.
Yeah. See,
Luke's
I have
car
a
is
suggestion.
just-
I have a
Luke's
suggestion
car
for
is
this
just
mode.
car-related puns, like
No,
all the time.
I reckon the mode should be the car in the rear immediately gets a rocket launcher that they can fire at the others with.
I don't
Nah.
get it.
It's a GTA thing. Whenever we play Crazy Races,
That's a
Luke always
Luke
gives
thing.
up
Luke
and just
just
shoots
gives
out.
up and gets a rocket
Everyone beat
launcher.
on Luke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It should just be the no Lukes allowed mode.
No Luke's.
Yeah.
We can have one.
So yeah, Party Crashes and Party Golf, super fun, really great. I highly recommend if you're looking for a competitive multiplayer fun shenanigan game.
Cool.
All right. I guess I'll talk about my one then. So there was a cool game here that this has been out for a little while in early access, and that was Hello Neighbor. So did any of you guys actually get a hands-on play with this game at all?
No, it was
Nope.
very popular every time I walked past.
I've been aware of this game for a while because my son actually introduced me to it months ago Like, he found some stuff on YouTube and was like, Dad, have you seen this game called Hello Neighbor? And apparently it's been streamed by some of the bigger YouTube personalities. I know PewDiePie and I think Markiplier has done some stuff on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I've played the alpha of it, question mark? I'm going to say alpha. And I played a teeny tiny bit of it at PAX. And so the whole idea behind this game is you have a creepy neighbor who has this really crazy house, and you're sneaking in to find out his secret. And so you sneak in, and there's a sequence like you have to unlock. So like maybe you have to unlock a door, you have to get a crowbar to get to a certain place or anything like that. And you will stuff up. Like, it's not, I'm going to say it's not impossible, but it's incredibly difficult to get through it all first time. But here's the twist with the game. The game goes, oh, you went around the back, hey? So I guess I'll put a trap around the back door then. Oh, you started going through the windows. Let's lock all of those. And the game basically learns from your failed attempts. And so you cannot just keep spamming the same method over and over and over again. So the game will introduce an element of self-learning, essentially. And it's really cool. And the art style's really neat. It's very cartoon. It's very relatively, like, it's a light-hearted cartoon style with a very dark theme, if that makes any sort of sense. Like, it's a deliberate juxtaposition between, ooh, here's lightheartedness, and actually, no, it's quite brutal at times. But yeah, I really like this game. It's released, I believe, really early December. I want to say 8th or 12th of December, I'm going to say. I remember it was a multiple of 4. Don't ask me how I know that.
What a delightful insight into Ollie's mind. Yeah.
But yeah, Hello Neighbor, really cool. Can recommend. It's a puzzle game that, if you stuff up, gets harder, which is the best part of all puzzle games, right?
Yeah.
But then the satisfaction of actually making it through is, titled my sex tape. So yeah, as you get through the sequence and you learn the sequence, you constantly have to figure out new ways to do those earlier segments that you did, because the game will go, no, you're not getting away with it that easy. So I really like the idea. I really like the idea. And it's made by Dynamic Pixels. So my Hello Neighbor, can recommend.
Nice. All right, well, I'll talk about Rumu, which is one that we mentioned a little bit on our collab episode with Pixel Sift. So got a chance to check this out. It's basically a 3D sort of, I guess it's a narrative adventure featuring a sentient household vacuum cleaner named Rumu. And I've been trying to think for a while what this thing reminded me of, and I finally just realized a couple of minutes ago what it is. What's the name of May from Overwatch's little droid thingy that follows her around?
Oh, yeah. It's got like the little eye thing.
Yeah, because I've just realized it looks exactly like that in my mind. So, I mean, it doesn't look exactly like that. It's pretty close.
Snowball. It's called Snowball.
Snowball, yes. It's a bit like Snowball, May's thingy from Overwatch. So, yeah.
So cute.
It's cool. So, yeah, this thing looks super cute. It's got eyes that light up in various different sort of cutesy symbols like love hearts and, little bits and pieces. But, yeah, you're basically in a house that was formerly occupied by your owners and they've disappeared or something. And it's kind of like a bit of a investigation as to what has happened and, where they've gone and what's going on. But we heard from a few people across the course of the weekend that it's a game that goes some dark places. So, and the big sign they had up basically was, Rumu trundling across this giant blood splatter on the ground. So it's like, okay, cool. That sets the scene pretty effectively. It's
amazing artwork. It drew the eye.
It looks great.
Miles away.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I've been following Ali McLean, who we spoke to from Robot House in Sydney, on Twitter, and she's been posting up pictures of the game environments as they've been working on it, and there's been some stunning stuff. So, you should definitely hop on and check that out. I think this game is going to look spectacular when it's out. I'm very curious to see how it plays story-wise as well. And we'll have a video coming up on our channel very shortly where we chatted to her about it. So keep an eye out for that, for sure.
Yeah, coming out late this year.
Yeah. We don't know exactly when, but that doesn't leave a lot of time. So, yeah, not too far off then, hopefully. All right, what else we got?
Yeah, so the last game I wanted to recommend was actually one of the Indie Showcase winners.
This looks so
we
cool.
I know, so much fun. We
one was a
first
fun
saw
one, yeah.
it. We went to the AGPN tournament panel at PAX, where a whole bunch of Aussie podcasters just sort of ran a competition on a bunch of different games. And one of the rounds was Gravity, which is this amazing brawler arena thing from some New Zealand guys, Ninja Thumbs. And it was really sweet. So basically, it's this physics-based arena, and you've got, well, the versions I saw was always 4-player, all-out brawl. And you've each got a gun that can pick up and hurl objects. And that's sort of the core of the mechanic. You've got some platforms to bounce around on. You've got a jump button so that you can change your direction midair in case someone's lining you up. But it's just this fast-paced, nutso brawl in this industrial-type background little arena with a bunch of robots throwing boxes at each other that explode if they make contact. And it's awesome. It was so much fun to watch on the screen, and I excitedly ran up to the booth and got my hands on it. It was just, I don't have words. Like, I want to play it always.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
It was super fast-paced, which made it for a really entertaining game to watch, that's for sure.
And there's like a score ticking up at the bottom left, which keeps shuffling you around based on what place you are. The winner at the moment has a little crown over their head, so everyone knows who to gang up on. Tall poppy syndrome, cut them down. If you explode, you sort of are dead for a few seconds, and then you end up respawning at one of a few key points. If you're very clever and you can time it right, you can actually see the glow of where someone's about to spawn and gank them a little bit.
Love the boss.
Yeah, just a little. But it's just mad fun. It's so intense, so fast-paced. Half the time you think, I've got this, and there's 2 boxes coming at you from directions you didn't even realise.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to play it?
No, I didn't, but I was very interested from the huge amount of gameplay we saw at the party mode event. So, yeah, it looks good. I think it's one that the 4 of us could definitely have some fun times with.
Oh, yes.
For sure.
So it's not out yet, but they're expecting it to be out early 2018, so I'm keeping my eyes on this one. I can see why it won the Indie Showcase. It's already really well polished and supremely fun to play. And you can customize your little robots too to look silly. I love it. One had a top hat.
I say there's a wardrobe option. Jam sold.
Oh, yeah.
Did you
It
happen
looks
to-
like there's variations on the brawling too, on the makeup of the arena and the conditions for winning. I didn't see them. It was just the straightforward brawl every time I played it or saw it. It was great.
Yeah. Did you happen to see if it was going to be only local multiplayer, or are they looking online as well?
No, I didn't see. It says, okay, so I'm just on the Steam page. It says single player, multiplayer, local multiplayer, co-op, local co-op. So I'm assuming that means online support?
Don't know. It can be a little...
And full controller support, because playing with controllers just tops.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. All right, we'll have to keep an eye out for it. If not, we can add it to the list for monthly catch-ups, perhaps. See how it goes. Yes. All right, well, that's kind of most of the PAX Rising stuff. I guess we can kick into a bit of other discussion. Sort of other big things from the expo floor. I did get to go in and check out a bit of Dad of War or God of War coming out early next year. So sadly, they didn't have gameplay available, but there was a bit of a presentation that you could kind of get in and see. So I checked that out. It was a bit more footage from the game, a lot more information on how Kratos' son is going to mechanically work in with that, and some of the ways that he kind of helps you fight and sort of, levels up and his abilities complement yours, which is very, very interesting. Looking at the footage from that presentation gave me a really, really strong feeling that might, and I stress might, be next year's Horizon Zero Dawn sort of equivalent in terms of gameplay style. Not necessarily how successful it is, although I think it will do very well, but it looks like it plays very similarly to that kind of game. So if you're into that, you probably enjoy it quite a bit. So, yes, looking forward to seeing more of that. Ollie, you checked out something cool.
I did, and big shout out to V for telling me to check this one out. So I managed to get my hands on Earthlight, which was a very cool VR space game, which is built in collaboration with NASA, and you play as a astronaut on the ISS, and you go for a spacewalk, and you have to do various tasks around it. So, like, you have to actually use the rails to navigate around the outside of the station. Have to do like some little component jobs here and there. And Jam, you'll love this. Most importantly, you have to take photos with your GoPro.
Yeah! Oh, yes, I'm sold.
That's awesome.
Now, reason I love this game so much is I'm a giant space nerd. I love space. Get me out to space. I want to go there. And this is the closest I can get to it at this point. It felt so good. Like, it genuinely... Like, you know in VR how movement just feels weird because you're usually teleporting around the place or something like that, or it's like you have to waggle your arms weirdly and your legs don't move, and so there's that disconnection unless you have an Omni treadmill, in which case you're a lucky git. This one, because it's in space, you don't need to move your legs in space. You can always just navigate by like pushing along with your hands and stuff like that.
Oh, of course.
And so the disconnection between the motion wasn't that much, or you could use like your backpack, that sort of thing. So I really like it. So thank you, V, for like telling me to check it out. It was really cool. And Jam, I reckon you'd like it as well because you can take pictures.
Yeah.
Just gonna put it out there.
That sounds like
gonna put it
one
out
of the
there.
best fits of VR gear and movement that I've heard of so far, actually, and it never occurred to me before that would work like that. That's super cool.
I was very impressed, and the graphics are really, really cool as well. Like, they've definitely gone for the realism aspect. As you can imagine, working with NASA will do that. But no, I was a massive fan. I was so glad to get my hands on that. And oh gosh, I'm forgetting. Like, they are Aussies that are doing it.
Opaque Space.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Opaque Space from Melbourne, Australia.
Thank you.
Opaque Space. Nice. That's a cool name. All right, so when the ladies were talking about last week checking out the game at the Annapurna
You called me
booth,
a lady.
Yeah. Well,
Lady.
I wasn't necessarily referring to you.
Lady.
Called Florence. There was another game there which I checked out, which was in this nice little beanbagged area, so got to sit down and get a bit comfy with Gorogoa. Now, Gorogoa is a puzzle game that we first became aware of earlier in the year when there was a bit of a... it was a piece done by one of the major sites about some of the indies to watch throughout 2017. And this one was on the list, and I've been keeping an eye out for it ever since. It looked really intriguing. So Gorogoa is basically a puzzle game, but it's a narrative puzzle game that basically... It takes place on a single screen with, unless this changes throughout the rest of the game, you have kind of 4 spaces that are designed to hold pictures. And you can slide those pictures around so that you get them in different formations, but you can also interact with the pictures to a certain degree as well. And when I say interact, I mean you can actually tap on them and zoom in on different elements. There are some things that you can actually sort of mechanically interact with as well. Like sometimes you'll see a door, you can tap on it and the door will open and show you what's behind it. But you can also, in some cases, actually slide the pictures over one another because sometimes there's transparent areas as well. And by doing that, it actually creates a whole new image or gives you like a window into another image that wasn't there before. So, for example, the one that I was mucking around with, there was like a door. I tapped on it to open up the door on one of the picture frames, and that gave me a blank space behind it. I slid that frame over another picture, and it showed me like, what was previously on that picture, which was like an object in a room. And then if I tap on that door, it allowed me to actually travel through that portal into that room, and that changed the nature of that entire picture, which I could then sort of, separate off it again to give me a whole different slide. So it is really trippy how this game works. Like,
Sounds like my sort of game.
it's awesome. Yeah, I think you would love it, actually, Ollie. It's very, very...
Antechamber?
Not even that. Like, I think... There is a certain amount of logic that applies to it because you do sort of get clues as you're going through it. Like you might see a sign that has different symbols on it and you're like, okay, cool, I need to find ways to find those symbols in these other slides. And you can kind of logically, navigate your way through it. And sometimes you can brute force your way through by just literally tapping on everything until something gives you a response. But yeah, I sat down there for probably a good 20 minutes, and I felt like I had to get up after that because someone else was going to want to turn. But I could have been absorbed in that for like over an hour, just on that one puzzle. I didn't manage to finish the one that I had, and I'm sure there's more than that one in the game. There's probably a whole bunch of them. But man, it was just it was mind-breakingly cool. It was really, really interesting. And I could sit on public transport and mess around with that thing all day. That would be a lot of fun.
Miss your stop.
Yeah, I totally would. I absolutely would. Yeah. Cool. So, that's Gorogoa. Don't know when it's coming out. It's by Buried Signal, and I believe being distributed by Annapurna. I'm going to find out more as soon as I can. There you go.
Annapurna's got some interesting stuff coming out. There's more stuff that we saw that I didn't play, but sounds really good. One other big thing, not really one sort of particular game that we did, was the Omegathon, which of course we are all big fans of after last year. And can I say that this year did not disappoint? So the Omegathon kicked off this year with Overcooked and the introduction of a chant about our feline friends, cats. And basically, if you ever, I highly recommend that you watch any of the Omegathon footage on the PAX Twitch channel because it's really good. But if you don't understand why people are choosing chanting cats, it's because very early on in the game, they were doing them in groups to go through. So the Omegathon is where 20 people compete. People get eliminated each round. They compete in many games, and then the final round's kept a secret, and 2 people battle it out on the main stage at the closing sort of ceremony of PAX. Very cool. So Overcooked, first group went through, did actually a really good job. Like they were quite, you didn't know who they were going to play with. All they knew is that they had the game, and so they got thrown into a group of 4, and basically they got the chance. They played 2 levels and their cumulative score, and then, but all of the other people who were yet to play were not in the room, so they couldn't watch for tips about how to do things, and because that would give them an advantage over everyone else. So the first group comes in, they play, they do a really good job, like an amazing job, and they unlock the cat chef. And if you've ever played a Megathon, it doesn't give you any advantages, it just makes you a cat. And so because everyone's like, hooray, they unlocked the cat chef. The next group that came through somewhat weak-willed to the crowd because the crowd started chanting cats and yelling out cats. So they all went cats, which seemed like a great idea until they realized that meant they had no idea which one was them for a majority of the first game. And shocker, they were the team that got kicked out. Spoiler alert if you want to watch it. It did not work out well for them. We missed a couple of the other ones. We missed Sushi Go, and we missed... and then we watched Arms, which Arms was on at the Wombat Theatre, which was really cool. That game is legit.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't get a chance to watch it during the round, but I went back and watched the Twitch stream afterwards because it's actually still online if you want to check it out. So on the PAX channel on Twitch, you can go back and look at it.
Yeah, that game's surprisingly good, but the chant for cats went out, but it was randomized Arms character. There's one particular character that was just like a super favorite of the randomized system, and that saw more Omeganauts knocked out. And then I can't remember what I missed on the second day. We missed Sushi Go, we saw Arms, we missed something, and then we saw the final round. But the final round on stage at PAX was Crossy Road. Now, if you've never seen an Omegathon or you don't know what I'm talking about, you will know that, okay, well, Crossy Road's a difficult game. That would be pretty hard to play, but
it's Frogger
the
on
Omegathon,
crack.
Yeah, it's Frogger on crack, basically. It's a very apt description. But I knew as soon as they sort of they did this big ceremonial pull of a cloth off this device. I was like, well, you don't need something that big just for the iPad, like to play Crossy Road. It's basically a phone game, right? And they had it up on the big screen. Of course they didn't, because then they brought out Rudism. And if you don't know who Rudism is, get Twitch, install it on your computer, and subscribe to this man, because Rudism is the man who makes anything into a controller. He's done all sorts of things. He's played games with bananas as controllers. He's played Overwatch using a Nerf gun as Widowmaker. He's an absolute genius and wizard when it comes to thinking of creative ways. And he's just genuinely very entertaining guy.
He's awesome.
So they brought him on stage, and people who knew what was going on went, oh my God, what has he done? And what he did was create a balance board that you have to then control this game with. So now you're on a balance board on a stage in front of arguably thousands of people. Maybe? No,
not arguably.
Thousands.
That was many thousands.
Definitely thousands.
In that theatre, as well as online, being streamed live on Twitch. And you have to stand on this balance board and the smallest forward, back, left or right movement it was very sensitive, would move you through traffic and all those types of things. And to their credit, and the crowd was very excited, instead of the usual chicken for Crossy Road, you can choose lots of different characters. And of course, they chose the cat. So what we then saw was a solid 20 minutes of a cat being splattered against the side of a truck. And or a train, or into the water, or being picked up by an eagle. And so the two combatants battled it out, and it was pretty close. I mean, I think one of them just got better. Like one of the Omeganauts, the Omeganaut who won, he just got better at the balance board, whereas the other Omeganaut was still struggling a little bit. But the good news is that we will be seeing the runner-up next year. So it was really good. I think the Omegathon was super fun again this year. I really enjoyed watching it rather than being part of it necessarily. But it did make me kind of miss, like, the group of Omeganauts was kind of fun. And also Arknim, who was our runner-up from my cohort last year, competed, did super well, but got knocked out. Unfortunately, as did Critus or Claire, who was also in my year last year. So that was a disappointment, but there's always next year. And congratulations to Arknim, who is also pregnant. She is with player 3.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting.
I saw her getting interviewed by Hex at a Blizzard event with her Farah costume on. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And no, she had an Anna costume, and she had a
Anna
little
costume.
sign saying Farah on board,
Oh,
which
that's
was
right. Yep.
adorable.
It was super cute. So, and I mean, she's a formidable gamer as it is. So she did very well. So it was very fun to watch everybody. But yeah. But speaking of Claire, the next sort of item that I wanted to mention is that we mentioned this last year, is that Swinburne Uni have a great big focus in their gaming and their technology, especially their game design courses. And so they have a booth at PAX where they showcase a bunch of games. And basically that is the students' sort of final project for the year, the chance to exhibit, talk about their game, and sort of take part in the industry and sort of be right next to PAX Rising, which is kind of neat. And Claire and her team, because Claire is a game designer when she's not an Omeganaut, was Next TV, which is the game that Jam just wrote down as button mash, because that's what it ended up being. They've created a game where you're all stars of a TV show, and you have to be more popular than the others. So you go through and you do all these different sort of game show things, but they've set it up like an arcade, so you have to sort of mash all the buttons. But there was also a really cool boogie beat brawler, which is basically
awesome.
like a rhythm fighting game.
Yeah, it was like Crypt of the Necrodancer combined with Street Fighter.
Yeah, it looked really, really cool. And they had like a guide. I think I saw him dancing all weekend. Like every time I walked past, he was like, woo, like dancing around. So they're really high energy. And it's actually really cool to see students there. I mean, obviously there'll be students all over PAX, especially PAX Rising as well. But to see that, to see Swinburne Uni sort of supporting them there was really, really cool. I like it. It was pretty neat. And to back all of that up, because you haven't been sick of hearing my voice already, is I am being not forced to talk about this game. It's not really a video game. I did pick up a game at PAX, which was a moment when I was just going up an escalator and I saw a very small screen, like very far away, but all I saw was a cat puking a rainbow, and it's like Sparkle Kitty available now, and I just yelled "Jam Sparkle Kitty" and pointed. I didn't know what it was,
true.
but it looked kind of cool. I was like, I don't know what that is, and we ended up finding out that it is a card game that we found in the tabletop area, and it was only $25, I think. It's pretty cute. We had a look at the cards, and by the time I sort of looked at the rule book and read it, the premise of the game is that there is a group of princesses who've been stolen away into a land of no cursing, so they have to cast spells using non-curse words. And there is an extenuated rule that is that you can't curse or swear or say naughty things, and I instantly thought this will be the best game ever to play with this group.
This is the best game ever to play with Jam. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And as well, they've got the different princesses. So there was Princess Business, which I identified with, which was kind of cool. And yeah, so I kind of looked at it, I'm like, it's really cute. I kind of like it, but you guys wouldn't play with me. And all three of you just looked at me and went, fuck yeah, I play this with you.
I saw Princess
bought it.
Metal and I was sold. I was like,
Yeah, yeah. It's so good. And what we ended up doing was playing an extreme amount of Sparkle Kitty over the weekend. It will be a good warm-up game for board games days and those types of things. And it's small enough to travel around with you. And I think it's one of those games. So if you're a big fan of those little games that you just want to have like handy in your house, I think it would work with kids as well. Like, I mean, the fun element for adults is the non-swearing part, but you could definitely play it with kids.
It was kind of like Uno with
it does have doodle in it, so you might want to like take the doodle part out.
And that's okay. It means to sketch.
That's a fine word.
It's fine.
So it's like a
Nothing
cross
wrong with
between it's like a cross between Uno and fuck the game. I'd say. It's like, it's kind of, you have to say what's on the cards, but sometimes you get like these dark magic cards, and so you end up with like super awesome, tiny, mega, and then you say the name of the spell. It's just ridiculous and
It's
good
trying
fun.
to verbally trip you up.
Yeah, pretty much, and it relies a lot on the players paying attention. So if you don't give,
you
you
police
have to
each
add to your
other.
tower because your princess is trying to escape their tower. It's good. It's really good. Turns out Jam's stupid good at it, so that's why we introduced the rule that if you don't say if you say swear words or say something naughty, and big ups to Kirk, who just took the opportunity when we were playing. He was like, hold my beer, and he's like, you mother effers, like picking up a thing can get effed, and just kept adding to
Just
his
taking
tower.
the penalty cards voluntarily.
It reminded me of like
One
when
after the other.
you have a workplace that has like a swear jar and someone knows they're going to have a real bad day and they just chuck a hundy in it.
They just grab the swear jar and go, right, let's do this.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I enjoy it. I love that one of the games. I only meant to buy one game, and I ended up coming home with 2 board games. So,
Oh, how terrible.
it's the worst.
Yep.
So
Good
bad,
effort.
guys.
Well, I mean, what else did we have on? One of the other big things at PAX this year, of course, was the first Australian Acquisitions Incorporated. So Penny Arcade's own D&D sort of stage show that they do at all of the other PAXs. Have they done it at all the others? Did they do it at South? I actually can't remember.
Yes, they've
pretty
done
sure
it
they
at
did.
everyone except Australia.
Australia, yeah. And part of the big reason for that is because, a few different things. Some of the people who make up that team haven't always necessarily been able to travel to Australia, including Chris Perkins from Wizards of the Coast, who's usually the DM that runs it for them. So he's obviously, he can only stretch so far throughout the year and he has a lot of commitments. But they got around it by basically running their own version of it down here, which was a Star Wars themed one using the Edge of the Empire system. So... yeah, different system, different characters. We had Holly Conrad, Chris Straub, and Jesse Cox come down and join sort of Mike Krahulik and Jerry Hawkins in the team to do that. So,
Holly's been at it before. Was in acting in a couple of instances as the Trash Witch.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and
She was
Trash Witch
hilarious.
was great. I only just watched the acting episode from West, and she's so good. I wish I'd seen it before the Star Wars one because she's hilarious.
It looks like they're going to make that a thing for Australia as well, because the story that they did seemed very, very open-ended for a part 2 to happen at some point.
I
Okay
want to know what
with
happens to Thwip.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely some
Team
leads that need to be resolved. But yeah, you can catch that on Twitch too, because the entire production got streamed, and the VOD is up there for everybody to watch. So it goes for about
It's great.
3.5, 4 hours, I think, but it's worth every minute. So yeah, you should check that out for sure. Anything else? What else do we have on the list before we wrap things up?
Well, there was one thing that I didn't talk about in the Omegathon, which is while we were waiting for the final round, we decided to start again the Switch, just the console of PAX.
Yes.
We decided to start a game of Mario Kart, and maybe 2 minutes after we started the game, we got let in, and so we decided that what we would do is try and make this thing mobile, because that's the joy of the Switch. And we did a walking into theatre game of Mario Kart.
Yep, 4 players.
Which was pretty cool. Yeah, thanks to Dinny again. Big
Yeah.
ups, Dinny.
Walking
for being the
backwards.
screen, walking backwards, and then we had people guiding him, and then just the 4 of us sort of trailing behind. Like, I don't know why, but I kept holding up my my remote. No, that's not what it's called. What's it
Joy-Con.
called?
Controller?
Joy-Con, thank you. Controller. Any of those words would have been good to play. But yeah, that's potentially better than Millennial Rooftop Switch is Walking Mario Kart Switch. That should be in their next ad. We also watched a little bit of esports. The Rocket League OCE finals were on. I only saw the sports ball. That was really cool. The one thing that was just painfully bad, and I haven't seen this before. I usually really enjoy esports commentators, but these guys were not good. Or at least maybe I just wasn't invested in what it was going on, but it just seemed really jarring, and I think they had to pad a lot of time that they weren't expecting to. Yeah. It was just ultra weird, but it was kind of cool to see the guys at that level. I mean, some of these guys are playing at a national level and they have like the cool skins and like the halos and stuff and the names and their rankings from all of the sort of global stuff that they've done. So that was kind of cool. PAX.
Yep, PAX. I find a lot of the esports commentary stuff to be very personality driven. So if you don't know the personalities involved, then it's a bit of a disconnect, I find. But
I don't know. I can watch Overwatch. Like the guys who did the Overwatch one for Australia, I thought were super good. I really enjoyed them. These guys just, I don't know, the two people together. It was like one guy who was great, and then there was always like another guy who wasn't so great. Yeah. So I didn't quite know. And also, every time that they got a goal, they would cut to a shot of the crowd. I'm like, no, I don't want to see. I want to see the replay of the goal. Rocket League is a game that happens super fast. Like, I missed it.
Especially at that level.
They kept cutting it. I was like, no, I want to see what happened. Let me see the joy. So it was a bit weird, but maybe they sorted everything out because we had to go before the finals. So
yeah.
And then finally, for the puppies!
Oh,
yay!
That was so
PAX
cute.
had puppy dogs. So as
My
we
dog
landed,
was very happy.
Yeah, as we landed at PAX on the Tuesday, I opened up my phone and I got 2 notifications from the PR teams that not only were Activision bringing a ramen store because of Destiny's 2 love of spicy ramen, they were also bringing puppies. So they brought the Australian Working Dog Rescue, and they had a couple of very famous dogs come along, and they were giving out, you could donate money to the cause. You could pat the pooches. That was kind of fun, and sort of had a very, take time out, pat dogs, dogs as sort of a coping method. And they gave us dog biscuits. So all of our dog biscuits went to Oliver, who was the only one of us who has a dog.
Hello. He was very happy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. He probably, as soon as
so
you came home,
sweet.
was just nose straight into the bag. Like, where is this food?
He was.
It was so good. And I mean, on the very first day we walked in, and it was just like on this podium thing, and I was like, can I pat it? Like, I want to touch it. Can I pat it? And it was, so cute. But then it was like, had enough. Boys. First thing that it did was turn around and lie down. And I was like, same. But okay. Thanks for the pats. Bye.
Yeah. Would have been pretty chaotic.
They did it great. Yeah, it would have been really, really full on. I mean, I want to stress that the dogs that they did have there were sort of professional dogs that have been in like movies and shows and that kind of stuff. So I think they're probably quite used to crowds and performing and very, very well trained.
I was just thinking, professional dogs. I don't just play a dog. I am a dog.
I am a dog.
I'm a full-time
I am a good
dog.
boy. Yeah. That's
awesome.
on the resume.
Yeah, exactly.
Cattle dog, good boy. Good
we'll
boy
bark
for
treats.
the last 10 years. Yeah. Very, very cute and very well done. I mean, we had all sorts of stuff. We had Sea of Thieves on a ship that we didn't get to play. And
my
gosh.
that.
We did, when we did the episode with Pixel Sift, and Mitch said that he bumped into people who said that they'd seen everything and they were now bored. I was like, how? Explain to me how, because I actively see PAX. Like, I actively make a plan and go and see everything, and there's just no way you can see everything.
We spent some dedicated time in PAX Rising this year. Like, we actually we formed up as a squad, and we went, like, point by point to try and cover as many of those games as we possibly could, and we failed. So,
Missed so many. And
Still
hardly
didn't see them all.
board gamed.
There was
spent time in the
there was a
tabletop area.
very small. I think we board gamed more last year, which is saying a lot given our schedule last year versus this year. So, oh my gosh, PAX just
Fabulous.
great. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can go to now, but if you're in Melbourne or you can get to Melbourne for end of October next year, just do it. It's a really great way to sort of kickstart or end your year of gaming and get your hands on some cool stuff, meet some people. Meet your family. Yeah.
yeah.
Come hang out with us, which is kind of cool.
That's it.
That was kind of neat. And speak to all of the cool people.
And
come home and hopefully don't get sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Hot tip, if you do come to PAX, just don't touch your eyes or mouth.
Yeah.
Don't touch your face. Just
Hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer
after
all the time.
every gameplay demo, after every handshake.
Yeah.
Or
hand sanitizer.
just don't
All
touch your
the
face
time.
in between. Yeah. When we were in the PAX Rising area, I just went controller, and then someone was like, oh, well, let's go walk around for a bit. I'm like, hand sanitizer, just in case I absent-mindedly scratch my face, because I do not want the germs. And touch wood, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I'm fine. We followed that safety procedures.
I'm good
Safety
too. I think
procedures.
most people got hit by allergy related stuff like the pollen swarm before we
yeah.
actually left Melbourne. But apart from that, I think most people escaped the pox this year. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a PAX. That's a wrap on a PAX, and that's a wrap
did
on
it.
this episode
wrap.
as well. PAX
Thanks for
wrap.
bearing with us,
Yeah.
patient listener.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, look, we've got no shortage of things to talk about in the coming weeks because it is still the silly season as far as all things gaming goes. So, but in the meantime, if you want to let us know what your PAX highlights were or anything that you would like to see or hear more about, you can hit us up at all the usual places. So we are mail@partyloaded.com, on Twitter @partyloadedshow. You can find us on Facebook, and you can find all of our content on YouTube at channelendgame.com. YouTube.com/channelendgame. We'll get that right one day. All right. Including the Omagathon coverage from last year, which is still a lot of fun to watch. So if you want to relive some of those highlights, please do. So we're back. We're playing games. We've covered a few things this week. What's everyone got planned for the week coming up? Anything interesting?
I have something interesting. I'm going to see Harry Potter in concert.
Oh,
WA Symphony Orchestra performing Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Nice.
Saw the first one last year. I've been super keen. I'm only slightly devastated that I'm going to miss D&D on Friday.
That's all right.
But worth
Kill
it.
your character off.
Yeah. Ollie's got a
No,
solid
not Alejandro.
plan for death and doom.
No.
I get to roll my new dice. Yes.
Whee!
Yeah, invested a solid amount of money on level up dice at PAX, so it'll be nice to actually use those.
that is a money trap if
I
I've
mean,
ever
it
seen
seems
one.
necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you
jewelry.
spend as much time as I
Bibbon.
do playing RPG games / watching RPG games, I figured it was a good investment. So
Agreed.
I would really love to say
I'm a
that I'm going
terrible
to be.
enabler.
I would love to say that I'm going to be playing some more Wolfenstein this week, but I've run into a bit of a problem, guys. I don't think it runs very
finished it,
well on my
didn't you?
computer. Yeah, I'm having some
know what
massive
that
performance
means?
issues.
You
Yeah,
know
I know.
what that means.
I know.
Ah.
I know.
you're gonna have to ask Santa for an upgrade there, Luke. I think.
I think
It's
so.
gonna have to happen.
I think so. Since I've gotten back, things have not been good on the old PC front, and I'm super sad that I'm not able to play Wolfenstein at the moment. I mean, I could, but I just wouldn't enjoy it as much as I would if I played it on a platform that can handle it better. So I might shelve it until I can do that, which as much as it pains me because I was really getting into it, but I don't want to fuck up my experience of that game. So yeah. We'll see. Got some Horizon to play with until then. And Destiny's still a lot of fun. So, yeah. It's good. Ollie, are you actively Destinying on the PC at the moment, or you got other stuff on the burn this week?
No, I'm actively not destinying. It's really weird. I'm trying to deliberately not sink huge amounts of time into it.
Okay.
So I am deliberately playing and doing other stuff and just doing little snippets of it instead. So I don't just binge it like Jam did in a day.
Mate. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, wait, we've got a pledge to... Don't they have the faction event
Yeah,
going? We've got a
that-
good pledge to...
Faction Rally just started
Friends
today,
don't let
I
other
think.
friends pledge to Dead Orbit.
Well,
No.
Dead Orbit did win last time, so yeah.
Oh God.
Going New
Boo.
Monarchy again because of the sweet, sweet armor.
Yeah.
I'm
I think
curious.
I'm done with Destiny. I think I'm done.
Aww.
Is that because
I think
all your
now
friends
you guys-
abandoned you?
Yeah, you all abandoned me. You all exactly what
I'll
I
still
thought would
play
happen.
PS.
Yeah, but I'm not. I've reached the an MMO block.
Saturation point?
It's inbuilt there. It's in deep from WoW. I got burnt pretty bad on endgame stuff, so I don't think I want to go into the raid stuff. I had enough of a taste of it, and now everyone's sort of way above that level. So now I've just
I'm
become
not-
let's run Mimo through stuff, and I'm certainly not buying it again on PC. Yeah, there's just way too many things. I might pick up Middle Earth. Maybe.
Okay.
Ooh.
I've been hearing exceptionally good things this week
Maybe.
about Assassin's Creed Origins, actually. That's kind of piqued my interest again.
I've never played an Assassin's Creed game.
Graphics
it's not-
look pretty.
Yeah, graphics would look pretty and everything else, but in terms of like, if I'm going to play a game like that, I would just buy Frozen Wilds.
Yeah.
And my to-do list of games is I've got to finish Persona, I've got to play Frozen Wilds, I've got to finish Ori. And by the end of this year is suddenly super close. So we'll get there. Also, like Armello came out on iOS, so
Oh my gosh.
Chuck
way
that
too
on the
many
pile.
games. Yeah, exactly.
So
Gonna
many.
get those Chiefs all over again.
Oh, them Chiefs.
Yep. All right. Well, let's log off and get some of them cheese, and we'll chat more about all of that next week. So thanks for everybody for joining us, and we'll talk to you all again real soon. Night.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.